Grieving the loss of my parents with Zeeta Maharaj. We don't always know how lucky we are to have both of our parents alive with us, healthy and thriving. We don't always know until we're faced with the possibility of maybe losing them or simply losing them completely. Losing a parent is a universal yet deeply personal loss that can profoundly impact an individual, across the lifespan even, leading to emotional, psychological, and social challenges. The average age of the loss of a parent is around 50 to 60 years old, but some people actually lose them much sooner, some even as children. Grieving the loss of parents is what we're talking about today with our guest, Zeeta Maharaj. Welcome aboard the podcast, A Woman's Spark with Janik, a place to show women how powerful they are and remind them of the spark that they carry, the strength that gets us up every single day, every time we fall, a place to feel seen and understood when we don't fully have what it takes to get back up on a hard day. This podcast is to help women heal and become the best version of themselves during the roller coaster of life. I want to build a community of women that wants to help one another and inspire each other to become stronger and more united as we were born to be. Today, we're going to talk about losing our parents and living with that void after their passing. There's a multitude of data on the matter, but losing someone is something that's just very personal. It's an experience that can differ from one person to the next. It depends on how close you are to them or how you view life after death, your feelings towards the death itself, and many more subjects. It can also make you or break you for a short or a very long time. This topic is very broad, but the bottom line is losing someone is a path everyone will have to live through one day or another. No one lives without experiencing loss at some point in their life. Our guest today has lost both parents within 4 days of each other. How did she deal with it? How is she coping with it today? Zeeta Maharaj, a Montreal-based grief specialist, podcaster, vlogger, and advocate. An entrepreneur at heart and a leader in highlighting voices that inspire, entertain, and remind us of our shared humanity. She's taken her experience with grief and turned it into something positive. We'll welcome her back after this short break. Welcome back to A Woman's Spark podcast with Janik. Today on the podcast, we're going to welcome Zeeta Maharaj. She's a grief specialist. She's reshaped her calling on what was a whisper turned into something more profound. She questioned herself how she could truly use her life to be of service. And through her own devastation, some clarity grew and also did her new career. The death of her parents, 4 days apart, crystallized her sense of purpose and propelled her into the heartfelt work of grief support. Having lived her own journey of grief, please welcome our spark of the day, Zeeta. Hi, Zeeta.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the podcast. I'm really happy to have you today on
Same.
a very emotionally filled day. I'm really
Yes.
glad we get to talk about grief. So, can you tell us how you became a grief specialist?
Yeah, absolutely. You just you touched it when you were going over my bio. My folks died 4 days apart with unrelated um deaths. But they say it's like lovebirds. That's like one of the terms for it. Um while I don't necessarily think that they were lovebirds in life, I think that as my father became ill, I started to see this like profound connection that maybe I didn't see growing up with them. But my mom died May 23rd, 2023, and my dad died May 27th, excuse me, 2023. Um Again, they were unrelated, but my mom was our wild card. We did not see that on our bingo card, like at all, at all. Our father had a stroke on January 12th, the day after his birthday, and just wasn't getting better. he was in the hospital, and one small thing, they said it was a mild stroke, but just one small thing kind of kept getting into bigger issues or an infection or something of the state, and he just, to me, wasn't getting better. Um, and it was really hard, and our mom was the one withstanding and seeing this every day. My sisters and I have 2 older sisters, we would go to the hospital regularly, but it was her, and I really recognize when I say it was her, like, every now and then I would call her and be like, "Mom, I just can't do it today. Like, I can't be in the hospital today." And she's like, "Fine, I'm going." Like, it was never, I never heard her, or I realized I didn't have her say, "I can't do this today." She was there, you know? So I think over time, it was just really hard on her, and her body started to give out. So her function and her body just wasn't at capacity, and her body was failing her. And the truth of that is, had it been our father who was home and our mother who was in the hospital, within a few months, I think my sisters and I would have had a rally and been like, "Okay, he has to live with one of us in this timeline," because he wasn't as, like, very independent in the sense that he was an extremely independent man, but we would cook, my mom would do the cooking and the cleaning and stuff. Very traditional. So, we would have had to have been driving over food. You know what I mean? Like, we would have been having to take care of him differently. So
She knew he was well taken care of, and she was the one taking care of him, and
that's
knowing he
it.
was taken care of, and if when he passed away, it w there
Well,
wasn't any idea of him being left behind.
correct, and the difference here is, had it been reversed where she were the one in the hospital, we would have rallied, right? And because it wasn't, and she was the one who cooked and cleaned and did all of her own thing, when she said she was eating, nobody questioned that. When she said she had great meals, nobody needed to be there to verify. So we were picking her up in front of the house or dropping her off, not necessarily needing to go in and check out the scene, if you know what I mean. So I think that was the beginning of me realizing that she was in profound sadness being in this home that they had forever without him for so many months at a time. And my mom had traditionally been the person who was sick in our family. She had been off and on ill since I was like a teenager. And we
If you
had
don't mind if you don't mind me asking, with just general ailments, a
my
cold,
mom had a
or
n my mom had a number of things. She had that kind of spirit and strength. Um And so various ailments, she got C. difficile, and that was really rough on her body, and different things popped up as we went along. So, she was the one that we always knew to have ailments and illness, not my dad. So when the stroke happened and the doctors said it was a mild stroke, um, we were all like, "Okay, see you tomorrow." Like, I was just so used to having a parent in and out of the hospital that I didn't necessarily have this, like, sadness or weighted feeling or a state of emergency that something was gonna go wrong. But he wasn't getting any better. And, so it was her who passed first, and we were all, like, kinda shocked, like, nobody saw that coming. And one of my sisters, I remember, was like, she didn't wanna tell our dad. She was like, "If we tell him, it's gonna be really devastating." But my other sister and I were like, "Well, by this point, he would see her every day, and it's been a couple of days. If we don't tell him, then he's gonna know something." Yeah. So we told him on the Friday, and then somewhere between Friday night and Saturday morning, he passed away. So it was like, "Oh, whoa." So, when it first happened, I was like, "Did she go to prepare, take care of him, prepare his spot, or was he holding on to make sure she was there before him?" I don't know. I don't know how that works out, but 4 days apart was our big "what just happened" moment.
definitely a massive shock, honestly, probably on you and your sisters, and first of all, I'm sorry for your loss. That's
Thank you.
huge, losing 2 parents in 4 days,
Yeah.
apart, and do you remember what your state of mind was at the time?
So
With the first death and then after the second one?
so to compound things, the last time I saw my mom was, my husband and I were having a belated Mother's Day brunch for his mom and my mom. And so it was the 21st, I wanna say, the Sunday, I forget the exact date. But I was taking IVF treatments. And the doctor called or the clinic called on the Saturday and they were like, you have to come in on Sunday morning. Like, you have no choice. Like, when you're doing these things, you don't have an option. Like, you go when they tell you. So we didn't want to cancel brunch, nor did we have anybody in our family know what was happening, because it's a lot of questions once people know what's going on, or if you don't always want to talk about it. And so my mom got to our place first. And I opened the door without even really greeting her. I was like, listen, I got to go do this. Do you want to come with? Like, this is what's happening. So she didn't really brunch with my in-laws. She was with me because my husband stayed home because we didn't want to cancel brunch the whole bit. And so the last time I saw my mom and I hung out with her was the Sunday before she died for my implantation. So to answer your question, so she passed away and then he passed away. And then 4 days later, the implantation didn't take. So it was this trifecta of loss. So my state of mind was, now I have an answer. Why I say that is because I'm Hindu. And when you do specific rituals, there are rules and regulations, and you have to fast and you have to do certain things. And if I'm pregnant, then I'm not sure how that plays into all of that. And we spoke to our pundit, who was also the person who would be performing the final rites prayers over our parents. And he gave us the green light, my sisters and I, to be present and do the actual rites. And I say that because in very traditional settings, it should be men doing it. And which we loved this perspective was, no, women's power is stronger than men's power. There's no reason why you shouldn't.
Plus
And
your
then the
3
next,
sisters, if I'm not mistaken, right?
say
Your
that
3
again?
your 3
Three
sisters, right?
sisters.
So
That's
no
right.
brothers?
No brothers.
Okay.
And so that was my train of thought in the split moments of it happening was, how involved can I be? Like, what am I able to do? What do I have to be limited by? And then the next split thing that went through my mind is, okay, now I have to tell my sisters what's up, because it was kept to, like, I didn't have an answer if I was or I wasn't pregnant. So I didn't really want to share it because there's a lot of questions and it was just me. It was very
It was
private for me and my husband at this moment. So I had to say, okay, we need a family conversation. Bleh. And I just told them. So that was, I remember it like it was yesterday. Those were the two split things that went through my mind. Like, how much can I do? What can I say? How much of this can I what can I divulge right now? And I didn't process the third loss properly ever.
of the IVF not
Of the
working.
IVF. Yes, because I was just in the busyness of everything that happens after somebody passes away times 2, right? So now I'm feeling it more and more where I was like, man, I would have loved for my daughter to have a sibling. Really, I would have. Ugh. So there's, to lead you into something else, there's so many types of loss, right?
Absolutely.
And
And this Go ahead.
no, to your point, like the whispers of, like, there's one thing that compounds another thing that just leads to another. And having somebody say, well, at least you have one, meaning one child, is not the answer either.
No,
Because,
a loss is a loss.
correct, or the chance of not is the loss, you know? So there's a lot of different things that were happening in that period of time, and a lot of different opinions. A lot of different folks wanted to share what they thought we should have done and how we should have gone through it. But my sisters and I also have very strong personalities and are also trying to do the best in our own opinion of what's the best. And so it was hectic. I wish we would have all just taken a beat. And if I could go back, I wouldn't wish for them to be here because they would have been in pain. I'm happy to know that they're in peace. That's how I feel anyways. I would have just done it differently with my siblings.
That is it I can feel the emotions coming out just from you're talking about, yes, your parents, but that grief of the IVF not working and all of it being built into you not being able to talk about it, not being able to know exactly where to lead your emotions. Because grief is not just losing through death, it's
Not about
changes, it's a evolution, it's going relationships, friendships,
Mhm,
children,
mhm,
even just the birth of a child. If the birth plan doesn't go to plan, there's a grief there. Uh,
absolutely.
Losing a child or the IVF not working or not being able to conceive,
All of it.
there are so many levels to grieving, and
Absolutely, and just the idea that it has to become, um, scientifically based pregnancies, right? Like, the loss of not having to have that moment, that option, that ability, like, all of it. Having my daughter during the pandemic was also, like, wild. I have a true COVID baby. She was born, 2 weeks into the lockdown. So, I don't have a traditional understanding of parenthood because nobody came by. We were alone. Yeah, no, that was scary. That was we was just him and I, we were locked in the room. We weren't allowed to leave the room. If he left the room, they were told us then he wouldn't be permitted to come back in. So, like, it was understandably unprecedented, but also, knowing that I've been to hospitals to see my friends have their children and be there for them and my siblings and, like, wow, like, this is such a precious time. None of that happened. And my folks and his folks only met her in the summer outside, and we had them all gowned up and wearing masks because we didn't know any better. And we did what we thought we needed to do. So, like, my first pictures of my parents holding my daughter is, like, with masks on, right? So, I'm fine with that, being cautious, but the point is there's just so many different.
milestone milestones that weren't achieved as you would have liked them to be achieved.
And they're wrapped in levels of grief or sadness, but I'm making this very profound, mindful choice to be grateful because I did have a daughter and I did have my parents meet her. Like, yeah, I can really be sad about it, but I also have to see, like, wow, like, how lucky am I to have had the life that I have had and continue to
Absolutely.
have.
It's important to see the beauty in every little things as opposed to latch on to the negative, because then that can be a lot more draining. For you who's a grieving specialist, anyone who continuously latches onto the negative, what would you say to them?
So I have this visceral reaction to that because it's easy to get latched into this space. But, um, the thing about holding on to anger and holding on to negative space is that it will change your brain chemistry, and it will change your body, it will change your mind. And we can see on a daily basis how we can make ourselves much more possibly inept to work on things that are hard, even if it's a loss. And so I always like to have levels of gratitude, and I share with clients and I share with anybody just looking at 3 or 5 things you're grateful for in the day. They don't have to be big things and they don't have to be anything you've done. It could be the sunshine. You did not create sunshine, but you can be grateful you get to feel it. And those little things help to change how you see things. Loss is hard. Nothing about loss is easy, but why don't we unlock memories? Why don't we unlock good things that have come from it or what we've learned from it or through it? And that's a way that we're able to start to position ourselves in a better way.
Do you when you see someone going through grief, okay, what are the signs of someone going through grief? If they don't really know they're going through grief, because, like, if I can backtrack a little bit, you said for your parents you grieve, but what really was the hardest was the trifecta, was all three together, but it took time because you had to be in automatic mode, you know,
Mhm.
getting everything in place for the funerals and getting everybody around you happy. But now once you have a little bit of a setback or a little bit of more time to yourself to grieve, what are the signs that you people could look for if to know they're grieving?
Right. So classic signs are a withdrawal, not necessarily wanting to be in the same spaces or around the same people. Um, a sense of heaviness, like nothing can bring you out of that heavy feeling, a little bit of a fog, a daze, just akin almost to depression, a lot of these feelings. And these thoughts, some of the thoughts can also be dark in the sense of, why not me? Or, it could have been somebody else or all these types of things. Those are not really easily notable on somebody else. It's not easy to notice because you have to be talking to them. You have to see the withdrawal, really. Usually when somebody comes for support, it's because they recognize that, hey, something's up. I can't get out of this on my own. Like I need help now. So if I notice a change in somebody around me, I kind of try to match it with kindness and directness. Now, this is tough because in general, I don't find us to be a direct society. We kind of like, and I'm at fault of this. Like I don't try to address things like in the most direct way, but I have been making much more of a greater effort with the guise of it being out of love. Now, direct not being mean, direct like, hey, I'm noticing a change. What's up? And just calling it what it is. And then allowing for the person to either come to me to discuss it or just say, hey, you don't have to come talk to me, but maybe jot it down, give yourself a voice note, listen to your own thoughts, like give yourself a minute to see where you're at and then let them go where they have to from there. That's really the most effective thing to do is call it.
We're going to take a short break, but I definitely want to continue a bit more on looking at the positive side out after the grieving process. What can people look forward to? Because once you're in the middle of the symptoms you're talking about, it's important to get past that and hope that something else is going to come out of the grief. So we're going to take a short break and we're going to discuss that together. Welcome back to a Women's Park podcast with Janik. Today on the podcast, we're going to welcome Zeeta Maharaj. She's a grief specialist. She's an entrepreneur at heart and a leader in highlighting voices that inspire, entertain, and remind us of our shared humanity. This is why she became a grief specialist.
Mm-hmm.
She's taken her experience with grief and turned it into something positive. I'm going to welcome her back, but we're going to talk about the positive after grieving. Hi, Zeeta.
Hi. Um,
Hi.
I'm definitely going to say not after grieving, but maybe throughout grieving
The positive
because
that we can see yeah, exactly, throughout,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
what one can the listeners look forward to?
Well, the reality is somebody listening right now could have lost somebody. Somebody could have died 20 years ago and it feels like it happened yesterday. And that's normal. That's totally fine. Somebody could have also died a year ago and you forget. Like, oh yeah, that happened. That also happens. And that's also equally okay. We all manage these things differently. And what you need to look forward to is knowing and how you position it. This is that happiness we're speaking of, or that lighter side, is doing things to honor without being enveloped by it. And I say that because you can easily find yourself doing everything in homage. You can live your life in homage, but you have to remember that you still have to put one foot forward for yourself. And doing things to commemorate really make a big difference and allow you to make sure that there's space in that person's heart, or in your heart, excuse me, for that person. So an example of that could be, my mom's birthday. So far, my family and I, we go and we do something that reminds us of mom. So far, it's been going to Red Lobster in Ottawa. Okay. We just
Oh,
do this cute little road trip. We go there and I always have a Shirley Temple because I have such strong memories of us doing this as kids. Like growing up, we would do that. So that's cute. And so far for my dad, I found myself like doodle painting and making things that I feel like he would like. And on his birthday, I've made sure to like paint something. And it doesn't have to be a big to do, but recognizing that you're doing something that honors the person, that's for them. It could be making their favorite dish. It could be taking a walk where you used to walk. It could be doing something, even that's something that they have always wanted to do. that they never got to or complete. So, like, those things are really helpful in anchoring you and recognizing that you're still alive and you're still living and you're doing it maybe with them in spirit, you're doing it for their memory, you're doing something to really help anchor yourself. So grieving is something that's always going to be there. Always, always, always. Some days are going to be super hard. Some days are going to be really great. And some days you're going to be like, oh man, it didn't even pop into my mind that I should be sad. And that's okay. That's totally fine. And I liken it to being akin to a roller coaster, right? There's going to be highs and lows every day. Within this roller coaster, you're going to be up, you're going to be down, and that's all good. But knowing that at one point, you have to be the one that narrates and motivates that happiness. So you can sing a song, you can write them. I struggled with talking to them. To me, I was like, I don't know how to do this. And one day, I put my headphones on and I pretended like I actually called them and I was on the phone with them. And it just kind of cracked me open and it opened me up and I got that good cry out. And then I felt so much better after. So there's many, many things that we can do. We can paint, we can do something that's physical. We can, get our bodies active and moving in ways that they would have wanted us to do, right? There's so many different ways that we honor that bring happiness and levity. You
Would you
can
say
also
would you
party
say, like, living the emotion is also important? Like, if you feel like you need
100%.
to cry, you should cry. If you need to scream in a pillow, you should scream in a pillow, but then
Yes. 1,000,000%, because if you suppress those things, they come back tenfold. They don't forget, and they manifest in our bodies, right? So, another thing, that comes to mind is a girlfriend lost her mother died, years ago, and the first thing she did is she went to a club, she needed to dance, and I think somebody else on the outside would have thought that was odd, but I remember being like, "She's actually doing what her mom loved." Her mom loved to dance. She's doing exactly the right thing. She's moving her body. She's listening to the music. She is feeling this way, right? So grief also doesn't have to be the same for everybody. And feeling your emotions is the most significant thing you can give yourself because stifling them can, as I mentioned before, manifest in the worst ways in your body. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to tell you that's how, diseases manifest. No, but I also am able to recognize that different things do manifest in your body when you're holding on to anger and pain and discomfort. So making sure you let it out of your system, whether it is taking a walk by yourself or having really close people in your circle that are okay to hear you talk about the same stories a gazillion times, do it. Because what you don't wanna do is isolate yourself, you know what I mean?
absolutely. I like that you said that to do something that the deceased person used to do gets you to connect with them. It's like you were talking
Totally.
about your father doing some painting, and it just brings back the right memory, the positive. But if you
Yeah,
do have some negative, you should let it out.
absolutely, because within every positive, there's negative, and within every negative, there's positive. They're not two exclusive clubs.
Absolutely.
And that's why I said the highs and the lows of it, because if I really sit back and I think about, my mom and I together, we were like oil and water at times. We'd argue, 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 but then we'd laugh that we were arguing. So, like, it's okay to have it be spicy, but also have it be smooth. Like, it's the way we are as people.
Human life, it's never just highs and never just lows.
No,
It's a wave of constant
that's
ups
it.
and downs and highs and lows, just to
That's it.
navigate and feel the human emotions through that.
That's it. 100%. And just to rewind a little bit is the recognition that sometimes the previous losses, once we learn how to navigate those ones, and those previous ones I'm referring to could be job loss, friendship loss, partnership breakups, those types of losses where the person or the thing is still around, that can still profoundly impact you. All of these things need to be grieved. All of these things need to be addressed and dealt with. And that doesn't always mean talk therapy and you have to talk it out. It doesn't always mean that, but it's an acknowledgement of something is ended. Something is not going the way I want it to. Something isn't going the way I always thought it might, like child rearing or partners or even childbirth. Many women don't ever have children. And is that by choice or is it because they never found the person to have the children with or it was too difficult? Like all of them can be true. So I'm bringing this up just as a point to say, hey, all of these things are valid losses, But let's look at what's been positive because of it. Because, job A didn't work out. I went to job B eventually and I met a great group of people. Well, I would have never met those people had I still been at job A. So how do you look at what has transpired to try to pull something good out of it? And when somebody dies, your whole life, I'm sorry, is turned upside down. It's ripped up. How do you find something good in that? Well, my challenge there is to say, well, what about the life you guys had? The memories you shared, the times that you were good together, you know? And that is what you zone in on. Even if it's one shared conversation where you weren't pulling hair at each other, then cool, right? And my personality allows for me to see it that way. And it's really stuff to give thanks for. It's very humbling and it is so important to be grateful for what we do have. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. It brings me to my question that I ask every guest, and it goes with the title. So what was your spark to get back up? Because there's always a spark that women have to get back up.
Yeah.
What was yours?
So mine's a little bit of a winding road, but I think it's important to share. So I took this class when I was doing my master's. I was doing my master's at McGill, doing educational psychology, kind of, basic stuff. And an elective was demystifying death and dying. And I found it so interesting. And I found it to be such a cool way to kind of help people just by talking about it, just by there being there to listen. And the teacher was phenomenal. And I remember feeling that this elective was like game changing. And after my parents happened and they died, there was something inside of me that just was like, what am I supposed to do now? Like, how do I put my 2 feet in front of me? And people I knew well, and some people I didn't know well, just had heard that my parents died, started calling me and being like, "What do I do now? Like, what? Literally, what are the next steps? I heard that this just happened to you. I feel like you might be the person to help. Tell me what to do." And sometimes when I say "tell me," I mean like literally calling a notary or calling a lawyer, like the actual physical next steps. And I found it gave me such joy to actually know what to do because it's such a scrambling time that I was like, there's something here. And like helping my community. When I say my community, it branches, right? So like being a West Indian woman, being a woman of color, somebody that's in the sandwich generation where like, we have children, we have parents that are ailing, like all of that. There's so many different levels of community that in this word community. I was like, wait a minute, we need support. And it just kind of flooded over me. That spark just kind of came. And it, like you said it before, it was a whisper, but then it was like this loud, like thud.
That
And
you can't avoid it. It was
you
there and it's
cannot
like,
avoid it. And the universe, let me tell you, girl, the universe said, you need an answer. I'm providing it. Here's your answer. And now you have to work with this. And I couldn't hide it. I couldn't lie about it. And what it did, even though everyone's like, this is such hard work, it is so it was such a profound feeling inside of me. It activated every single cell in my body. I need to do this. I need to lean into this. I have always been trying to figure out how to be of service. And I recognized what I was doing wrong. I was doing other people's service. I was working on other people's nonprofits. I was working in other people's missions, which wasn't bad. There were great missions, don't get me wrong,
it
but
led
it
you there.
wasn't mine. It
Yeah,
wasn't where I fall into place. And everything I had done for the years coming to this has helped me get to this point. I love public speaking. I absolutely do. And I recognize this is my gift. Everybody has a gift. We all have something. So how can I use this gift to help as many people? Well, let's start doing workshops on pre-planning, understanding what you have to have your ducks in a row, have these conversations to help my community. And the minute that started to activate inside of me, it's more than a spark. Holy crow. It was like a bomb went off in the best way inside of me because I have found my thing. I found my it. I found my why. I found my how. I found my tribe because since that moment, everybody, like people I'm meeting are just being thrown at me in the best way, right? Like, oh, I have a space where you can do workshops. Oh, I have a group of folks that need support. It's just been an overwhelmingly beautiful sense of help and
Mm.
call to action. And that's
When
a spark. It's beautiful.
Absolutely, when you're on your X and where you're meant supposed to be,
There's a
it's like the universe just gives you exactly all that you're meant to have to do what you're meant
Yeah,
to do.
and everyone thinks it's a cliche, and I get it. It sounds so, like, cliche. It does. Like, "Oh, the universe is contriving." You know, but it is, though, because the minute everything was determined for me, I hit that point and everything just activated. Like, I'm telling you, every cell in my body just said, "This is what I have to do." And usually, when I'm not 100% sure and I wanna test something out, I'll ask people for their opinion. I will. "What do you think about this?" And, and turn to my trusted group of colleagues or friends. This time around, I didn't have to ask anything to anybody. Instead, I went to them with, "This is what my plan is. This is what I'm gonna do." And that's how I knew, 1, I don't need anybody to help me figure this out because it's already figured out. You know what I mean?
Because
And
it's yours, it's part of your superior plan that you're
correct, correct.
aligning with.
And I feel like it's such a beautiful thing because this is the joke of it. Like I finally found a sustainable model for myself because this is work we all need to do. And I say sustainable because I've always tried to do more things that are helping, but might be like trendy.
Okay.
So when I say trendy, like it's not necessarily like I don't have funding for it. So I have to keep, going back into it's just more complicated.
We
But
need to have
now
food on the table at the end of the
yeah,
day,
or I
so
have to
what
have
is
2 or 3
profit
different jobs, girlfriend. Like, I have to try to, like, do it, but I have to, like, freelance and gig and do other things to be able to make it work. And right now, I'm in a space where I can really just pour into this, and all of the hecticness of it is just down, and I can just focus on meeting a client. I can just focus on running a group. I can just focus on hopefully doing grief retreats. To really crack it open and really help us, you know what I mean? That's
Speaking
where
of
I'm at.
which, can you tell us about your center? Where can we find you, and can we do it online, or is it just person?
Yeah.
Tell us about your center.
So the timing of this podcast is so great because all of this is just launched. Like, it has just started in September. And so the name of the group is the Lotus Grief Center. And it had to be Lotus. It just had to be. It was a name that stuck with me, and it really reminds me a lot of my mom. And also, like, just, just a beautiful space to kind of come together to heal. So it's called, again, the Lotus Grief Center. We will be doing group work that can be hybrid. So if you are not in the local area, it will be fine. We'll be able to connect with you and have you in. It's a bit difficult that way, but I just want to be as accessible as possible. For one-on-one sessions, available via in person or also to do it online if that's easier. I've noticed that even if the person is in the area, they still want to do it online to like just make sure you're always on time and that type of thing. I'm located in Pierrefonds, which is a suburb of Montreal, and I have a center in Beaconsfield where I'm working out of. I also am able to come to folks, meaning if there's a big enough group of people who want to have a workshop on pre-planning or want to have conversations about, next steps in terms of estates and what this all means. Like, I'm not here to actually like get you to sign away anything. I'm here to just help you break down what it all means. So I'm not selling you anything, thank goodness. I'm really here to just say, take a minute, take a beat and figure that out. That's one part. And another part is really meeting people one on one. So I meet in person in Montreal.
As simple as it is if you're in need of if you're going through a grieving process, no matter what it may be, and you're just having a hard time getting out of it, or you wanna prepare for a grieving that may be coming up, you just go see Zeeta. You
Let's
just go to her website. It's Zeeta, Zeeta dot ca, and you can probably just contact her on her contact page, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have an Instagram, the Lotus Grief Center. You can catch me. I'm sure you can have it all posted as to how you can reach me. And it's my pleasure to meet with you, to connect with you, and just talk it through, and let it be. And you mentioned something super important just now, the anticipatory part. My mom had pre-planned. I just say this as it was the biggest gift. My mom pre-planned her arrangements. And so when she died the following day, we called. And then ironically, I'll share this with you all. My dad, as I mentioned, died on the Saturday morning. But our appointment was only for the Tuesday, and my sisters and I were like, "Oh my god, this is, like, almost a week later. This feels so long." But then we called and we're like, "Hi, my dad is not pre-planned, but he just died." And they were so wonderful, and they said, "We're gonna pick him up. We're gonna put them together in the morgue. Don't you worry." And then that Tuesday meeting was a godsend because we didn't have to have 2 separate meetings, right? Like, everything just kind of weirdly worked out. So we had a longer meeting, but we had everything arranged and everything planned and everything set. After that, we knew where we were headed. Um, that sense of we're gonna be okay because we everything was working out is what I wanna offer. I wanna make you feel comfortable to talk to me and that it's in a safe space, and that we all have stuff to worry about and we all have stuff to grieve about, and nothing is too big or nothing is too small. Like, it's all important because you matter. You matter, your feelings matter, and bring it to me. I'll hold space for you. Yeah.
Thank you, Zita. I
Thank
really appreciate you coming on the podcast today and sharing your story, but also I really send you all the love and I know this is gonna work out for you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so grateful you've dug into your spark and you're helping connect women and just speak about how we find our way. It's a beautiful journey you're on. Thank you.
We're all very, very we have the spark to get back up on a hard day. That's part of my intro, and it really, really is deeply rooted in me that women, we go through a lot of BS,
Mhm.
and we always find a spark to get back up on a
You're
hard day.
100%
So,
right. Thank you.
thank you, Zita. It was to all you dreamers out there who also want to give back, know that it's possible to make a difference, even from a distance. This is it for us for today. Tune in every week on your favorite podcast platform. And if you want to get involved with the Be Guided, Be Inspired community, or you want to share what kind of impact you've had on others from your experience, or you're going through a tough time, just come and meet us on the platform at www.beguidedbeinspired.com. Write us and we'll connect together. Let's change the world one woman at a time, one conversation at a time. Thank you. Have a beautiful day, you beautiful, sparkling women. Bye.